Welcome to the deep dive. We take sources, break them down, and pull out the key stuff for you.
Right. The goal is to get you informed, give you those aha
Right.
moments, but without all the overwhelm. We cut through the noise.
Exactly. Especially for you, the learner. You want the insights, fast and clear.
And today's topic is really fascinating, how to actually think in English. We're looking at this through the story of Maya, from How to Think in English.
Yeah, it's a narrative source,
Yeah.
one person's journey, which I think makes it super relatable, not just theory.
Precisely. It gives us a real human look at what can be a pretty abstract process. We can see the steps she took, the feelings involved.
So our mission today, to really understand that shift Maya made, going from just like knowing English words to actually thinking her thoughts in English.
And the impact that had not just on her fluency, but her confidence, her whole sense of self, really.
Okay, let's dive in. The story starts with Maya in Manila. She's a talented designer, reads and writes English well, but speaking, that's where she freezes. Remember that specific example, the video call with the Canadian client, total freeze up. It just shows that classic gap.
It really does. And that experience is so common. You hit a plateau where you understand a lot, passively, but actively using the language.
Right.
It's another story.
Yeah, you feel stuck, maybe a bit embarrassed even, like
Right.
Maya felt.
Exactly. Feeling small, as the source puts it. And that feeling, that frustration, can actually be the trigger for change. It was for Maya.
Absolutely. That rainy evening, she realized her dreams travel, international work, felt blocked by this speaking hurdle.
A real moment of clarity.
Totally. And the very next morning, she decides, no more just studying English. Time to start living it.
A fundamental shift.
And she writes that question in her notebook, How to Think in English. That question basically kicks off everything.
And that shift itself is key. Moving from passively receiving information like grammar rules to actively engaging with English as a tool for life.
Her first steps were pretty bold, actually, creating this total immersion bubble for herself. Changed her phone language, laptop language, stopped following local social media, started following English-speaking creators.
That's environmental immersion. By surrounding herself constantly, even in small ways digitally, she's forcing her brain to process English all the time.
Like even just scrolling social media becomes practice.
Exactly. It's subtle, maybe, but it's continuous reinforcement. Even if it was tough at first, facing unfamiliar words constantly.
Oh, I bet. But it worked. There's that little moment, right, in the grocery store.
Yeah, the tomato.
Looking at a tomato and thinking directly in English, this is a tomato, it's red. I'll make soup tonight. So simple, but huge for her.
It really is huge. Those tiny conscious moments of direct thought without translating, that's the start of building new neural pathways, bypassing the old translation habit.
And then she gamified it. Her English mind mode.
Which is a great practical tip.
Just describing everything around her. Dog barking, man running, sun is hot. Simple stuff.
It connects directly to active recall. By pulling those words and structures out of her brain to describe the immediate environment, she's strengthening those connections, making the language relevant.
The next big step was processing emotions in English.
Yeah.
After that fight with her friend, writing down, I feel sad, I feel angry, but I know I will be okay. That feels like a much deeper level of connection.
Definitely. Linking language to your inner emotional world, that integrates it much more deeply. English stops being just an external subject and becomes part of how she experiences and expresses herself.
And she starts noticing that shift.
Yeah.
Less thinking in her native language than translating, and more just direct English thought.
The changing gears analogy she used?
Yeah, exactly. Like the process is getting smoother, more automatic.
Yeah.
And neurologically, that's what's happening. Those English pathways are getting stronger, faster, more efficient through use. The brain is adapting.
Her practice just weaves into daily life, right? Talking to herself while cleaning,
Uh-huh.
reading recipes aloud while cooking. These everyday activities become learning opportunities. It allows for subconscious processing, too.
Culminating in that dream. Just one sentence in English, but wow.
Dreaming in the language is a really strong sign of deep immersion and internalization.
And then the payoff. That successful call with the New York client.
Such a contrast to the earlier one.
Totally. She felt confident. It flowed naturally. She could communicate.
And that real-world success is the direct result of all that internal work, that shift in her thinking process. It shows the practical power of it.
Her realization at the end of this part is so key.
Mm-hmm.
Thinking in English is not magic. It's a habit, a daily choice. And I'm choosing it every day.
Yes. It really highlights that it's about intentional practice, building a habit consciously until it becomes more automatic. That applies to learning almost anything, really.
Okay, chapter 2. It opens with another small win, but it feels significant. Waking up, and the first thought is, I need coffee, in English.
That automaticity, it shows English is becoming the default for certain thoughts, certain contexts. It's happening subconsciously.
And she makes a really important point here. Thinking in English isn't about having like a massive vocabulary or perfect grammar right away.
Exactly. It's about skipping the translation step, directly linking the concept coffee with the English word, even simple words.
It's not about complexity. It's about the process.
Right. Many learners think they need to know thousands of words first, but Maya shows it starts with the basics, just making that direct connection.
But of course, it wasn't all smooth sailing. She hit that wall of negative self-talk.
The inner critic.
Yeah, that voice inside. But speaking her native language, saying things like, this is too hard. Why bother? You'll never be fluent.
And that's such a universal part of learning, isn't it? Self-doubt can really sabotage motivation. Recognizing that voice is the first step.
It reminds me of that whole growth mindset idea. You have to challenge that fixed thinking.
Precisely. And Maya's response is just fantastic. She answers that voice back, but in English.
No, I'm not perfect, but I'm better than yesterday. I will keep going. And writes it down as a rule.
Talk about taking control. She's using the target language itself to fight the negativity associated with learning it. That builds agency, self-efficacy.
And she actively starts reprogramming her thoughts, replacing I'm stupid with
It's okay. Mistakes help me learn.
and I can't do this becomes
I'm learning. I'm growing. It's cognitive restructuring, essentially, applied to language learning.
building a more positive self-image as an English speaker.
Which is crucial for resilience. You need that to keep going through the tough patches.
Then there's that conversation with her cousin Leela. Maya always thought Leela's English was way better.
The comparison trap?
Right, but Leela admits she gets stuck sometimes too. Even fluent speakers aren't perfect.
That's such an important realization. It normalizes the struggle. Fluency isn't flawlessness. It's effective communication, bumps and all.
Which leads Maya to another rule. Don't judge your English thoughts. Just let them be.
Brilliant advice. Judging adds so much mental baggage, slows you down. Accepting imperfect thoughts reduces that cognitive load, lets the language flow more easily.
She keeps up her building blocks game in the park. Naming things, making sentences, asking questions.
Systematically practicing different language functions. Vocabulary, syntax, questions, putting it all together into thoughts.
And then recording herself. That moment she listens back and thinks, that sounds like me, but in English.
That's a big step in identity. Phoning the language, feeling like yourself while speaking it.
It all leads to that amazing final thought for the chapter. The voice inside my head now speaks English, and that voice is kind.
What a transformation from that critical voice to a supportive, English-speaking inner guide. That's a huge win.
Okay, chapter 3. Maya starts broadening her horizons, using English outside of just, focused study.
Taking it out into the world.
On her train commute, she starts listening only to English media. Podcasts, interviews, music.
And she's not focused on understanding every single word, right?
Exactly. More on the rhythm, the emotion, the flow of how native speakers actually sound.
That's great for developing an ear for intonation and natural speech patterns. Passive listening is really valuable for that.
And she keeps up her narration habit, silently describing things on the train in English. Woman in red coat reading.
It's becoming automatic now. Linking observation directly to English description without conscious effort. Deeper integration.
Then, a brave move heading into the English fiction section at the bookstore.
Stepping up the challenge.
Picks a novel, starts reading, and really feels the story connect, that emotional engagement with authentic material.
That's incredibly motivating. It makes the language come alive, moves it beyond just exercises into something enjoyable and meaningful.
Her notebook entry at a restaurant says it all. Today, I will turn everything around me into a classroom.
I love that proactive mindset. Seeing learning opportunities everywhere, not waiting for a formal lesson.
And she does it right there. Describes the waiter, another customer, her coffee, all in English in her head.
Translating conscious observation directly into active language practice, moment by moment.
And she even plays with tone, thanking the waiter in different ways. Thank you so much. Versus thank you so much.
Exploring pragmatics, understanding how tone changes meaning. That's moving towards real communicative competence. It's not just words, it's how you say them.
That's a really advanced skill to be intuitively exploring.
It shows she's becoming very attuned to the nuances.
Next, she joins an online English conversation group. Nerve-wracking, I'm
You're
sure.
definitely putting yourself out there.
But she does it, connects with people, expresses herself. It underlines how vital actual talking is.
Absolutely. Communicative practice is where you build real fluency and confidence, testing things out, getting feedback, making connections.
And her realization afterwards, this feels real now. I'm not just learning English anymore. I'm using it to connect, to express, to live.
That's the turning point, isn't it? Language stops being a subject and becomes a tool for life, for connection.
It reminds me of our teacher's quote, language is not just words, it's how we carry our thoughts, our memories, our dreams.
Beautiful. It captures that deeper personal significance. Language shapes how we see and interact with the world and how we hold on to our own experiences.
The chapter ends with those 3 great notebook entries. Everything can teach me English if I pay attention.
Mindfulness and learning.
Thinking in English means thinking clearly, simply, and kindly.
Linking it back to that positive inner voice.
And my world is now an English classroom, and it's beautiful.
Embracing the immersive, mindful approach, seeing the beauty in the process, that's a fantastic summary of this stage.
Chapter 4 is really interesting. Maya decides to have a day of silence.
A deliberate act of introspection.
Yes, specifically to just listen to her internal English voice without the pressure of speaking out loud.
That's a powerful technique, focusing attention inward on how the language is working inside her head.
And throughout the morning, she's just silently narrating everything in English. The steam from her tea, the warm cup, the breeze.
It shows the engine is still running, right? Even without output, the internal processing, the language generation continues if that thinking habit is strong.
Even describing her breakfast gets creative. The strawberries are shy, the blueberries tiny and proud.
That shows a real comfort and playfulness with the language. Even in her private thoughts, it's not just functional anymore.
And when she reads her English novel, after each paragraph, she silently summarizes it in English.
Active processing for comprehension. She's not just reading, she's engaging, reformulating the ideas in her own internal English. Great for retention.
Then she looks at old photos, tells herself little stories about them in English. This is me at 5, no teeth.
Connecting language to personal history again, weaving English into the fabric of her memories and identity.
Her walk becomes more silent observation practice. Playground, bakery, man feeding pigeons. Just noticing and thinking in English.
The world as a constant stream of input, fueling that internal English monologue.
In the notebook entry for that day, I didn't speak a word today, but my mind spoke all day in English. And I understood myself.
That's profound. Recognizing that thinking in English is a form of self-communication, self-understanding.
Her evening reflection leads to this amazing definition of fluency. Not speed, not big words.
But feeling free.
Yes, free to think, to feel, to be in this new language. That's a much more holistic view.
It really is. It shifts the focus from pure linguistic skill to the feeling of liberation and authentic expression that comes with it.
And she ends the day whispering to her reflection, "You're doing well. I'm proud of you."
That's self-compassion, that positive reinforcement.
And the final thought before sleep, "You are becoming."
Acknowledging the ongoing transformation, the journey of developing this new aspect of her identity. Beautiful.
Chapter 5 builds on that mirror work. She starts a habit of speaking English affirmations to herself. "Good morning. You are strong. You are learning."
Using positive self-talk out loud now in English, that's powerful for building confidence and reinforcing that positive inner voice.
Then she prepares and rehearses a short speech in English, practicing in front of the mirror, feeling more connected to the language and herself each time.
That rehearsal is key. Practicing the physical act of speaking, even alone, builds muscle memory, fluency, and reduces anxiety for the real thing.
And it pays off. She gives that presentation in her online class, all in English, nervous at first, but then finds her flow, gets good feedback.
See, the internal practice directly translates to better external performance. That success builds even more confidence.
Her reflection later is telling, "Today, I used English to share something I love, and people listened," comparing that to her old fears.
That's a huge confidence boost. Overcoming a specific past fear through a successful experience in the target language. Powerful stuff.
The notebook entry connects the mirror to reality. The mirror doesn't lie. It shows who you are becoming. Every sentence is proof.
Recognizing the tangible evidence of her growth. It's not just feeling better, there's proof in her ability to communicate.
She remembers that phrase, "Language is a mirror of the soul."
Linking language learning back to self-discovery, expressing her authentic self through this new medium.
And the chapter ends with her thought, "Today, I didn't just think in English. I spoke it. I shared a part of me. And that matters." And that final mirror affirmation, "Good night, English Maya."
Full integration. English isn't just a skill anymore, it's part of her identity, her daily interactions, her sense of self. English Maya.
Chapter 6 tackles the inevitable bumps in the road. Maya feels off, wants to skip practice.
Happens to everyone. Motivation ebbs and flows.
But now, that inner English voice pipes up. Even on slow days, you can grow.
That's intrinsic motivation kicking in. The habit, the positive mindset, is strong enough to overcome temporary slumps.
Still, she gets frustrated writing. The negative thoughts try to come back.
A reminder that progress isn't linear. Setbacks are normal.
But she remembers her teacher's advice. Mistakes are proof you're trying. Welcome them.
Shifting the frame. Mistakes aren't failures, they're data.
And she writes that amazing, bold entry. Today, I will make mistakes. And that's okay.
Giving herself permission to be imperfect, that's incredibly liberating for a learner.
Then she does something really brave. Records herself speaking freely, no prep, just talking honestly, mistakes and all.
Embracing vulnerability, that takes courage, but it's essential for developing spoken fluency, getting comfortable with imperfection.
She watches a video. Here's that quote. Fluency is not perfection. Fluency is connection.
Another key mindset shift, focus on communicating, connecting, not on being flawless.
And that call with her aunt in Canada proves it. They make mistakes, but they laugh, connect, encourage each other.
The human element. Supportive relationships make a huge difference in feeling safe enough to practice and make mistakes.
Her aunt's feedback is perfect. Yes, you made mistakes, but that's what made it great. You didn't give up. That's the magic.
Perseverance over perfection. That's the real magic ingredient.
Maya's notebook entry sums it up. Mistakes are not enemies. They are my teachers. With a little heart next to it.
A complete transformation in her relationship with errors, seeing them as valuable guides.
And when she listens back to that recording, she hears bravery, not just bad grammar. Realizes to think in English doesn't mean thinking perfectly. It means thinking freely.
Exactly. Freedom from the tyranny of perfection. That's the core message of this chapter. Embracing mistakes unlocks fluency.
Chapter 7 circles back to Maya's English dream, thinking about what she really wants to achieve with the language.
Connecting back to the why. Keeping those aspirations in focus is vital for long-term motivation.
She imagines traveling, communicating easily, understanding cultures, and writes that beautiful goal in her notebook. Speak freely like a river. Think in English like music. Help others learn. Tell her story in English.
Developing a really clear personal vision for her future with English, it goes beyond just passing a test. It's about living a certain kind of life.
Then at the cafe, ordering in English, feeling proud, she sees tourists and thinks, even when I don't understand, I still belong here. English is mine too.
That sense of ownership and belonging is growing stronger, feeling like a legitimate participant in the English-speaking world.
She hears that podcast quote. Don't wait for fluency to start living your English life. Start now.
Yes. Don't postpone using the language until you feel ready. Use the English you have now.
Which leads to our entry. I don't need to be perfect to live my dream. I just need to be brave enough to begin.
Such an empowering message. Taking action, even imperfectly, is the key.
So she starts writing a short story in English, focusing on just getting her ideas out, not perfect grammar.
Creative writing is a fantastic way to practice, consolidate learning, and build confidence in a low-pressure way.
Reads it aloud proudly, tells the mirror, this is my English voice, and it's growing.
Finding and celebrating her own unique voice in English. Not trying to be someone else, but expressing herself.
And she adds to her dream, I will build my English life one word at a time, and that will be enough.
A patient, sustainable, step-by-step approach, recognizing that consistent small efforts lead to big results over time.
Chapter 8 is all about taking it public, using English actively out in the real world, beyond her study zone.
Right, bridging the gap between practice and real-life application. That's crucial.
Walking downtown, she's still doing her silent English narration of everything.
That automaticity is just humming along now. It's becoming second nature.
She goes into a bookstore, confidently asks for easy English books, has a good chat with the staff, gets a compliment.
Those positive, real-world interactions are like fuel. They validate the effort and boost confidence immensely.
Then she's reading her new book in the park, her inner English commentary just flowing alongside it.
Integrating different skills, reading, thinking seamlessly in a natural environment.
And the big moment. A tourist asks for directions. Out of the blue.
The ultimate test of spontaneous communication.
And she nails it. Gives clear directions, gets another compliment. That must have felt amazing.
Huge validation. Successfully navigating an unplanned real interaction shows true progress and boosts confidence like little else.
Her notebook entry captures it. I used English today. In life.
Yeah.
With people. And it felt real.
That distinction between practice and real, authentic communication is so important. That's when it clicks.
And walking home, her mind is just naturally thinking in English. It's not learning anymore.
It's just living. The language has become integrated into her way of experiencing the world.
Chapter 9 really focuses on strengthening that kind, confident inner English voice.
Consolidating those gains in self-belief.
Her mirror affirmation now includes, I believe in my English voice. Very direct.
Using affirmations to consciously program that self-belief, it works.
She feels totally comfortable ordering at her cafe now. Having simple chats in English should become routine.
Automaticity in everyday tasks. That frees up mental energy.
Her list, things I hear my English voice say, is full of positives. You're doing great. It's okay to make mistakes. And the big one, I am no longer afraid to think in English.
Wow, that marks the complete shift. The fear associated with the process is gone, replaced by supportive self-talk in English.
She still whispers English observations to herself on walks.
Keeping that internal monologue active, constantly reinforcing the language.
And that moment, comparing the old, hesitant recording with a new, confident one. The contrast hits her hard.
Tangible proof of progress. Hearing the difference in your own voice over time is incredibly motivating and emotionally resonant.
It leads to the final realization. I used to fear speaking English. Now I use English to speak my dreams. The doubt is gone, replaced by her own voice.
A complete triumph over that inner critic. Self-belief and confidence have won. That's the power of this internal shift.
Okay, Chapter 10, The Turning Point. Maya joins a local English-speaking club, a big step into community.
Moving beyond solo practice into social interaction, that's vital for taking skills to the next level.
She's nervous, naturally, but introduces herself, joins conversations, gets a warm welcome, even talks with someone about the whole thinking in English thing.
Finding kindred spirits, that face-to-face interaction, sharing the journey, is so valuable for learning and motivation.
Her notebook entry says it. I found my English voice in a room full of strangers. Now they are friends. My English is not perfect, but it is real.
Connection, authenticity, community. Embracing imperfection in the service of real communication, that's where the magic happens.
She dreams in English again, feels the journey is ongoing, but she's ready because she learned the key lesson. Thinking in English is not just about language. It is about living the language.
That's the core insight. It's a holistic integration into life, not just an academic skill, a fundamental shift in how she engages with the world.
And the final chapter, 11, Becoming Fluent, the journey continues. It emphasizes this wasn't overnight. Months of consistent work.
So important to remember. Fluency takes time and persistent effort. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
Then, wow, she gets invited to give a short speech in English at an international conference about her learning journey.
Talk about realizing her dreams. That's a direct result of all her dedication, a huge achievement.
We see her practicing in the mirror one last time, feeling her progress, affirming, I am ready.
That self-assurance, built through months of practice and positive reinforcement, prepares her for this moment.
She delivers the speech confidently. shares her story, shifting her thinking, overcoming fear, choosing bravery over perfection, gets warm applause.
Her vulnerability and her message resonate. Sharing the journey connects with people on a deep level.
And her quiet thought afterwards, this is just the beginning.
Perfect. Because language learning never truly ends. There's always more to explore, new ways to grow. It's a lifelong journey.
Exactly. For Maya, for anyone learning, the journey evolves, gets stronger. And that brings us to you, listening. You can start today, right now. Speak one sentence in English, just one. Take one small step. Learn one word. Hold on to your English dream. Let your voice be heard.
It starts small, but that first step is everything. The potential for growth, for connection, is immense.
So the big takeaway from Maya's story is that shifting from just learning English rules to actively thinking in English is transformative. That's what builds real confidence, conquers fear, and lets you connect authentically.
Absolutely. It's a holistic approach. Internalizing the language changes not just how you speak, but how you think, how you feel about yourself as a communicator, and how you engage with the world. The benefits go way beyond just grammar.
So we encourage you to think about your own English dream. What does that look like? And maybe, just maybe, consider one small step you can take today, right now, to start thinking just a little bit more in English.
Maybe just labeling the next thing you see, or forming one simple thought, like, Maya, this is a cup. It starts there. Every little bit counts towards that bigger shift.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into Maya's incredible journey and the power of thinking in English.
Yeah, this was a great one. Until our next deep dive.